Hello everyone and welcome to From the Depths with me, Cargo. In this, we're going to be starting our adventure mode playthrough. Now, if you've seen the last couple of little building episodes that are really short, you'll know that I have a resource buoy and a tiny little hover tank ready to go for this adventure run. In the adventure run, we're going to plan on basically building a carrier and launching several hover tanks in order to deal with every foe. And hopefully our main craft shouldn't be in too much of a thing, but yeah, I want to focus a little bit on sub-vehicles. Probably going to be building a ship for the most part. Now, if you're new to From the Depths, it's worth giving you an introduction to the game, period, before we get too far. From the Depths is essentially a vehicle builder game that's also an RTS, depending on the game mode that you're playing. Anyway, there's an adventure mode, which is a exploration survival, where you just get endlessly attacked and you have to salvage and harvest your way to not dying. You've got a campaign mode, which is an RTS, where you fight off against other factions of designs that have resources, and you compete for control of the map. And yeah, you have to come up with counters to the enemy factions and build them onto your crafts, and that's all cool. And then there's player-hosted tournaments, which of course have their own guidelines based on that, so on and so forth. But we're going to be doing an adventure mode. Now, in the adventure mode, it starts off a little bit slow. To start with, we're going to have to give our adventure a name. And I'm thinking that, yeah. If you don't know what this is a reference to, that's a shame. Anyway, we're going to jump in here. Welcome aboard the Thousand Sunny, everyone. Now, to start with, I'm going to be in a little bit of a rush to get some stuff placed down. I don't know why the game is throwing some dubstep at us, and it's really throwing me off my mojo, but it's alright. We'll get used to it. But yeah, as I mentioned, the adventure mode is a survival. As time goes on, it's going to get more and more dangerous, as enemy craft are going to have an increased chance to spawn more times passed. So we really do need to get something that can move pieced together here pretty quick. And yeah, not going for anything too fancy to start with, although it looks like the waves are having a fun time with the tiny little raft that we've got here so far. Building the initial thing out of wood just so that it floats. Although honestly, we could probably move straight to light alloy, but that's beside the point. Looks like we've got some material containers. Now, to let you know a couple of the important mechanics at play here. In the adventure mode, you basically lose whenever your player avatar dies. Your player avatar requires something called a heartstone on the craft in order to survive. So if I leave my craft, you'll notice in the bottom right I have a percentage bar that's going down that says I'm dying and I need a heartstone. If I get back on the craft, that charges back up. I can also die to enemy fire, so running out of power is not the only thing that I have to be concerned about. So right away, to start with, I'm going to get myself a chair and just immediately place... Oh god. I'm going to get myself a chair and immediately place myself in it. And honestly, probably just going to go ahead and there we go. Box myself in like that. Also going to go ahead and place two of the bottom ones with some stone, because that should make the craft a little bit more stable. Now, to start with, let's talk about our situation. If you're new to From the Depths, this big ring in the sky is a resource zone. If I go into the tactical map, we could draw from the accessible reservoir of the resource circle, which holds a maximum of 10,000. This particular resource zone only has 8.3 thousand resources left, and they restock into the main pool at a rate of 10 per second. That's what that information is telling us. What have we got going on here? Well, we've got two radioisotope thermoelectric generators. RTGs for short. You don't need to know what the word means. Basically, if you're interested in what this is based on, it's based on the idea of radioactive decay generating electricity. This is a thing in real life. It's just not very powerful. You certainly couldn't use it to power battleships. At least not this much of it. Anyway, we're using these to generate electricity, which is going straight into our batteries. And our batteries are being powered by this electric engine, which is powering these material gatherers. Material gatherers are filling up these material containers with resources that they're taking from this starting zone. So what we need to do right now is kind of just piece together an initial ship, something that can move from what we have here, so that if and when we get attacked, we have the ability to flee. So that being said, let's just tinker around here a little bit. I think we will use a keel on this first design, probably. I say probably because, to be entirely honest, my designs are always subject to change at a moment's notice. And being able to run is going to be very important. So we're probably going to go with a giant propeller as well. And multiple rudders. Very nice, very nice. Go ahead and get rid of that. Let's get some controls set up. Alright. Check the rudders. Okay, looks like those are all responding. I'm going to go ahead and change the material that's right here in the back to metal. I'm probably going to do a metal band at this level. And we've got the resources, so we'll switch to lightweight alloy at the top. I've never found it particularly worthwhile to stick around on wood any longer than is absolutely necessary, and I do actually think we can already afford to transition away from it. So, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Being said, I'm not really concerned about making this thing too heavy. I'm honestly more concerned about keeping this propeller under the water line. So what's kind of cool about From the Depths is the level of physics simulation. And this is a boat propeller, and it will only work if it's underwater. It does not work if it's out of water. So I need to keep this thing fairly weighed down. And should just about do the trick. And then I'm gonna work on sloping this boat to make it look better. switch back to lightweight alloy for the absolute top here. Perfect. Okay. Now, I mentioned that the adventure mode was a bit of a survival mode. And you might say it doesn't look like anything is currently threatening my survival. And you'd be right. I'm moving my camera in a circle like this, not to admire my own craft, but rather I'm watching the top of the screen. You might notice there's a little line in a parenthesis that's green right next to the east indicator. It's fairly small, so hopefully editing Zacargo will blow that up so that you can see it. But if there are enemies on the map, they will appear as red indicators. And we're going to go deal with that as they come. Now to start with, we're going to want to... Maybe dodge fights is the wrong word. But you want to be extremely careful about which fights you choose to actually take, especially in the beginning, because you can lose this rather immediately if you fight the wrong thing. Looking for an air pump. Here we go. And this air pump is basically just going to remove the air from the bottom of the ship. All things considered, it's not exactly necessary, but cosmetically I think it looks a lot better. And I'm going to remove the extra blocks from the interior as well. Call that pretty good there. I'm going to leave a little bit of a thick armor on this. Right from the get-go. But this giant propeller here, I want to be able to scale that power up as high as possible. And the other thing I want to do is I want to get some big batteries down. Now, I don't need a tremendous amount of power. What I do need is a fair bit of stored power. So what I'm looking to do is have enough RTGs to just continuously build up my battery banks. And then other than that, I'm just going to hope that I can last for quite a while on the power that I have. Now this resource zone started out with, I think around about 9,000 or 9,500 resources, and it's already down to only 4,000 left. So we are going to have to think about moving on here. It's worth noting, the adventure mode has a bunch of different triggers for spawning enemies. One of those triggers is the passage of time, but another one of those triggers is movement. So if we sit here, stuff will spawn eventually, but you really don't want to wait for that to happen. So, future Zacargo here. Now you might be wondering, am I going to leave in every little tinker and adjustment? And the answer is probably not. I'm doing it for the first episode because this might be the first From the Depths thing that someone ends up seeing. I'm definitely going to be You know, I have some friends who just watch what comes up in my content on my channel, so this might be the very first From the Depths episode they ever see. So this is just giving a bit of an honest rundown of what the gameplay looks like at the start of the adventure mode. Some people, they have tiny little cheap crafts that they just load in, and me, I pretty much improvise something every time I get into the adventure mode. You're still safe. For the time being, I'm gonna reallocate these. I think I'm gonna move these batteries as well. I'm gonna have to move all this forward. There we go. Alright, so we'll move that there. Alright. I think I'm still gonna rearrange this a little bit. And while we're coming up on the end of episode 1 of our From the Depths adventure, Futures Cargo here again. Just gonna ramble a little bit while in-game Zacargo attempts to decorate the cockpit. We're about to see the first enemy spawn, so I'm putting this here instead of later. If you did like the video, do the press the YouTube buttons. You know the ones. Yeah, I'm sure you're all intimately aware of the buttons. And remember, sharing the video is the best thing that you can do for the channel. It's a small YouTube channel. Most people don't know about it yet. I only started uploading From the Depths stuff 2 days ago, so sharing it will help it get around, and I'd very much appreciate it. Anyways, let's take a look at what this thing is. Alright. Oh. We have something coming in. It looks like it's a flyer. It actually looks like a big flyer, potentially. What are you? This thing spawned? I don't actually see too many weapons. I see rams. I see a gun. I see repair tentacles. I don't know what that is. This design looks mostly cosmetic. Is it carrying 350,000 resources? Was that a cosmetic ship that's just carrying 350,000 resources? Hang on. Alright, Futures of Cargo here with the end of the video. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll be back soon with the next episode of the Adventure Mode, where we're going to go take on that freighter. See you then.